Hello and welcome to another flashlearner.com free flash video tutorial. Today we're going to be making a bouncing ball animation using easing, and also at the bottom of the animation, well, the middle part of the animation, when the ball reaches the bottom, it's going to create this kind of squishing effect which looks really nice. So at this stage you need to make sure you have 20 frames per second because I'm going to be working with specific numbers of frames. So just double click that and enter your frame rate as 20 frames per second. So since this is a ball, let's get started. Click for the oval tool or press O on your keyboard and hold shift as you draw this, otherwise it'll come out not the right shape. We want it to keep it perfectly round, and we don't want it to be black, so press V to go to your selection tool, and I'm just going to double click this to select my fill just to move it over here. You don't need to do this because I need to show you the color panel as well as the shape, so I'm just going to single click the shape just to select the fill, and on this type select radial. We're going to make this ball look a little more realistic. I'm going to change the black to a red, and I'm just going to switch these round, and now I'm going to press F or just come over here and select the gradient transform tool. And now our shape has these extra handles. This center handle, for example, will alter where this white part comes from. So if we just put that up there, you see it looks a little more realistic. I don't like the red though. I'm just going to select this box, just drag that down so it's a bit darker. And now I'm going to press F again to get this back up. And if I just drag across there, just click this one to expand the size of the white part, and there we go. Now we have our ball. I'm going to go back to the selection tool, undo that, there we go, and just put that in the middle of our stage. Okay, so now I have a ball. We need to select it and convert it to a movie clip. So with this selection tool, select it all, either right click and select convert to symbol, or just press F8, call it ball, not with the caps lock on, movie clip. So now we have our movie clip. Now we can animate it, but before we do that we should probably add a line for it to bounce on. I'm just going to zoom out here to 50% so we can see the entire stage. There we go. So this layer 1 is called ball. This new layer, layer 2, will be called line, I suppose. Frame 1 of that. We just want to select the line tool. Black is fine, and I'm just going to increase the size of it to about 4 or 5. And just down here, just draw it there. That's going to be the line that the ball bounces on. Just center that a bit more. There we go. So now we have a ground for our ball to bounce on. So let's add some frames to do this animation with. We need about 35. So select that on both frames. Press F6 to add a keyframe to each layer. To be honest, the ball layer doesn't really need one, so we can just keep that as a frame. The line layer, sorry. Obviously the ball needs a keyframe there. Okay, so, and if I go to around the middle part, which is around there, and press F6, we can then start positioning this ball. So on frame 1, the ball's going to be at the top, so I'm just going to hold shift and nudge the ball up, and on this frame the ball's going to be on the floor, about there. And again at the end frame it's going to return to the top, which I think, no, it's not there, it's there. So frame 1 and frame 35 should be the same. So now if we click anywhere in between the first two keyframes and right click to create a motion tween, do that again there, you'll see that we have our animation. It doesn't look so great at the moment. If I press Control and Enter to test that, that's what it looks like. It looks terrible. So let's make it a bit more realistic. We can do that with easing. So select this first motion tween anywhere in there and come down to your properties panel, and you'll see that we have this ease option, and the value here, if you drag it up, the little handle, it means that easing will be easing out, and if you drag it down it will ease the animation in. So we want to just drag that down to 100, and I'll show you what that means. Is that on frame 1, as I drag this down, it starts off moving very slowly, and by these frames it's moving very fast. within the same amount of frames. So it just adds that kind of gravitational effect to the ball. Obviously at this stage, if I was to test it, it looks good on the way up, but then it doesn't look good because it just stops at the top on the way back. So we can change that again, just doing the same thing with this motion tween, but all we do this time is we make sure the easing is out. So at the top it's going to be moving nice and slow, which is the opposite of what we did with this. So now press Control and Enter to test, and we have a really nice looking bouncing ball animation. But if we want to make it look a little bit better, we can add a squashing effect to it. So just close that. I'm going to adjust some of these frames that I've just created. I'm going to drag this one to 15, and then I'm going to create on frame 19, just press F6 to create a keyframe, and I'm going to move the ball back down to the line, so it's on the line, and frame 22, you can see which frame I'm on, it says there. Press F6 again, and again this is just going to be down not too far, down to about there. So at this stage we need to make the ball squash. I'm just going to move this animation up so we can see. Okay, so it's normal here. At this stage we need to press Q to go to the free transform tool, and I'm just going to squash this ball down using these handles and make it wider using those handles, and obviously put it back down on the floor. And this keyframe, we want to stretch it up and make it thin, and just make sure it's still on the line there. And now if we press Control and Enter, it's kind of an exaggerated effect, so I'm just going to just bring that one down a bit to about there. And there, if you excuse these annoying lines, you can see that we have our bouncing ball effect. I should mention at this point that we need to again add easing to this final motion tween, otherwise it doesn't look so great. So on the easing panel, remember to drag this all the way up to 100. So now the final effect has this better bouncing effect, where it doesn't just stop at the top, it eases out properly. And well, that's it really. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.